So, what is the question? Could burnout be a sign I'm using the wrong energy? I don't know if I can read that. 1000%. Burnout can show up in a number of different places in your chart, but one of the first places to always look in your chart is your type. There are four different human design types. Some might say five, but there really are four. Manifesting generators are a subset of generators. They're still generators because they have their sacral defined. But some people break them out. I keep them in line because I like to keep the content pure as it was given to raw. All right. So could burnout be a sign I'm using the wrong energy? Yes. So let's start with type. So we'll start with generators and manifesting generators since they make up the majority of the population, anywhere between 65, 70, maybe even 75% of the population. And ironically enough, it's kind of split down the middle. Half are manifesting generators, half are pure generators. So generators are extremely susceptible to burnout. Because when you look at each different type, it's related to your aura, and each aura operates differently. So a generator's aura is open and enveloping. So oftentimes when generators or manifesting generators walk into a room, their aura walks in before them. And it's really here to be like, here, come to me, jungle friends, come inside my energy. But oftentimes, when generators or manifesting generators don't understand that energy, they become susceptible to giving away that energy. Manifesting generators and generators have been conditioned, like everybody else, to be manifestors, to go and initiate, to go find something, to go do something in order to get what they think that they want. And because that energy is so powerful and it can be so contagious, it can be given away quite easily. The other thing about generators and manifesting generators is that they are here to work. We really are designed to work, but to work at things that light us up. So think about a generator, a manifesting generator who is in a soul-sucking job. They will give 8, 10, 12 hours to that job in order to get the job done. And then they will go find something to do that give their energy to something that they love. So when we talk about burnout, that's first and foremost how generators can experience burnout. The other thing is that 65 to 70% of the population has an undefined ego center. An undefined or heart center, an undefined ego center. We do not have consistent access to willpower, to commitment. And oftentimes, when we look at it in the context of generators and manifesting generators, for those like myself who have open or undefined egos, we can overcommit our energy very easily. We know in our hearts or in our guts, really, that it's a no. Our body is screaming no. But we say yes, one, to give the energy away because it has to be used. A manifesting generator, our energy has to be used and kind of depleted every single day. So oftentimes we say yes to something even though we really don't want to do it because one, we have an inconsistent access if we have an open or undefined heart center. And we've been conditioned to believe that once you say yes to something, you have to stay committed. And generators and manifesting generators who've ever said yes to something that they really don't want to do, who have an open or undefined ego, will learn very quickly just saying yes, even though we don't want to do it, is a recipe for disaster. Because we can be the biggest quitters on the planet because if we say yes to something that we really don't want to do, oh, by the way, add in an open or undefined ego center and we really don't want to do it, then we feel a lot of guilt, shame, blame, disgust, frustration with ourselves because we said yes to something that we really didn't want to do. Now, let's be fair. I mean, this is just looking at one aspect of somebody's design or chart, but this one is pretty significant. So let's go to the other types. So every other type, whether you're a manifestor, a projector, or a reflector, have an undefined sacral. That's what makes you another type. And those who have an undefined sacral, like anybody who has an undefined or open center, amplifies the energy of every generator or manifesting generator they're around. Now, remember, generators and manifesting generators make up a majority of the population. So, the rest of the population, while they don't have defined sacrals, they are amplifying the energy of generators or manifesting generators. So, the not self or borrowed frequency strategy of a sacral is I don't know when enough is enough. So think about that. That's easily a translation to burnout. Is that if you are not born with a defined sacral and you are amplifying that really powerful energy 200%, and your borrowed frequency because you don't have a defined sacral says, I don't know when enough is enough. I have to keep going. I have to keep working. Therein lies your burnout. A lot of people who are, every other type of manifestor, projector, or reflector feels if they need to keep up with a generator or manifesting generator. I'll tell you right now, it's not in your nature to keep up with us. You're not here to keep up with us. Manifestors, you are here to connect with generators that once you initiate something, we're the ones, provided it's correct for us, can finish the job. We're the ones who can put in the work. We're the ones who can put in the passion. We're the ones who can put in all of the long hours to make that vision come to reality. That therein lies a really powerful connection between manifestors and generators. Now, it's also often very important for manifestors to remove themselves from the energy of generators or manifesting generators because you can get caught up in our desire to keep going and going and going and going, and recognizing that finding safe space for yourself and to get out of that generator or sacral energy is really important. Now go to projectors. Projectors and generators also provide a very powerful connection to one another. We generators, because we can become, I'll say it, slaves to our own energy. Projectors are great guides for us. They are the ones who can look inside of our G's and say, oh, I see what's going on here. I see where they're using their energy really effectively, or I see where they're not. And projectors provide a really deep and powerful guidance systems for generators and manifesting generators that once we invite you in, once we allow you into our energy, for us to kind of give the invitation of, okay, help me understand where I'm giving away my energy to things I really don't want to do, or how do I provide my energy or give my energy to the things that I really want to do. But again, it's really important for projectors to find their alone moments to get out of the energy of manifesting generators because you will get caught up in the enough is never enough and keep going and going and going and going. Projectors are not here to necessarily live the 9 to 5 life. And even if you're an energy projector, meaning that you have a motor defined in your chart, you are not here to have as much energy to keep going and going and going and going like the Energizer bunny, like generators or manifesting generators. And then finally, our beautiful reflectors, again, have no definition in their chart. They're completely open, but the borrowed frequency message or the not self message of that open sacral still is not knowing when enough is enough. But the beautiful connection between generators and reflectors is that reflectors are here to see, once they are living correct as themselves, who is ready to wake up, who is ready to step into their energy, who is ready to find their intended frequency and get out of the borrowed frequency life. And so they also provide great kind of canaries in the coal mines, if you will, for generators, because who are the easiest people to wake up on this planet? Generators and manifesting generators. Now, while we are the easiest to wake up, it doesn't necessarily mean that we will. But reflectors provide the opportunity for us to see ourselves because, again, generators and manifesting generators are the only ones here to see themselves. Manifestors are here to kind of see the rest of the world and make an impact on it. Projectors are here to see the other, and reflectors are here to see what's working in the environment and what isn't. But the beautiful connection between generators and reflectors is that reflectors are the ones to say, oh, that person can wake up or that person's ready to wake up. But again, burnout really comes when they're trying to keep up with generators and manifesting generators. And also think about that. So if you have a generator or manifesting generator who's working from borrowed frequency, and that theme when generators or manifesting generators are working from borrowed frequency is frustration. And so think about that if we are 70% of the population and the majority of people are working from their borrowed frequency, so the majority of generators and manifesting generators are leading a life from a point of frustration, that frustration also gets amplified by manifestors, projectors, and reflectors. So you have this entire world. Yeah, we'll be that what's the word I'm looking for? Dramatic about it. You have the entire world living through this borrowed frequency of frustration, again, leading to burnout. That if we're constantly feeling frustration, if we're constantly not living a life that lights our soul, if we're constantly giving our energy to things that truly do not light us up, and then all of the other um, types are absorbing that and amplifying that. That is why so much of the world experiences burnout. And that's why we keep talking about it and nothing ever changes, is because we're not getting to the root of the problem. And I look at it being a generator, a manifesting generator, I look at this as our responsibility. We've got to get our shit together so that the rest of the world isn't amplifying our frustration. But the same also goes true is that, we as generators and manifesting generators, because our auras are open and enveloping, we're also taking in the conditioning of reflectors, which is disappointment, taking in the conditioning of projectors, which is bitterness, taking in the conditioning of manifestors, which is anger. So we're all in this emotional shitstorm simply because the majority of us are operating from borrowed frequency. And don't let me fool you. The fact that I've been in this for 3.5, almost 4 years, please don't let me convince you that I'm not necessarily operating from my borrowed frequency. I still find myself operating from my borrowed frequency, still living in a world of frustration, though I'm starting to unravel it. My deconditioning is starting to take effect. And I'm working very consciously, very intentionally, and giving a lot of attention to my strategy and authority, because at the end of the day, that's where burnout stops. Is that when we are all living as correctly as we possibly can, coming from our true frequency versus our borrowed frequency. Because the moment that we are living out of alignment, that we're living through our borrowed frequency, burnout is inevitable. It's inevitable because it's a point in life that we are all giving our energy or utilizing our energy in a way that it was never intended. And that's what leads to burnout, is because we're creating so much more resistance in our life than what is really intended for us. Again, just because you find your true frequency doesn't necessarily mean that life will always be easy. It simply means that you are not going to bring in any more resistance than what is intended for you. So, yes, burnout can be found in several different places in your chart. It's not necessarily just one place, but from a simplicity standpoint, from a point of where can I start that makes a little bit more sense, I always go back to strategy, and we can talk about authority, but really strategy. Generators and manifesting generators. Do you want to start to remove some of the burnout of your life? Respond. Stop initiating. Surrender to what life is going to bring you and respond with a yes or no, and then follow your authority in order to determine if that yes or no is correct for you. Generators and manifesting generators, we are the only type that has a warning system in our body that speaks to us that says, yes, you have available energy, or no, you don't. manifestors. You want to start removing some of the burnout. You want to minimize some of the burnout. You want to reduce some of the resistance that you experience. Start informing. You bring people into what you're doing. It's not about asking for permission. It's simply saying, "Here's what's going on with me. Here's what I intend to do. I'm informing you out of respect and letting you know that hey, this is what's coming." It's all about open communication. No, wow, it's easier said than done, particularly if you have an open solar plexus or not. But again, that's a whole nother layer for a whole nother day. Projectors, follow your strategy. Wait for the invitation or the recognition. Your auras are so incredibly powerful. They penetrate the other person. That's why the invitation is so important, is because you are so incredibly naturally powerful that you can penetrate someone else's energy. And the fact is that a lot of people can kind of feel that, specifically generators, is because, again, you have an open and enveloping aura. It's coming in. We're just allowing everybody in, um, which makes us susceptible to conditioning, but we can also feel when other people are in our energy. That's why the invitation is so important, is for the other person to say, yes, I'm comfortable with you coming in. But for you, it's also recognizing which energy you want to accept, because the moment that you accept an invitation, you are accepting that other person's energy. That's why not every invitation that is extended to you is for you. And then finally, reflectors, is your strategy is to wait through your lunar cycle. And why is that so important? Is because that you sample the different energy throughout your lunar cycle, as you get to kind of move in and out of these different energy connections and get a sense for what it feels like across the month to gain clarity. And along the way of talking with a objective third party or third parties that allows you to process what you're going through in order for you to make the most effective decision. So if you want to eliminate burnout, there's a myriad of things you could do, but the simplest thing is to start following your strategy. And if you want more information or you're intrigued by what it means to follow your strategy and then eventually your authority, let's connect, let's chat, let's talk, because this is what it's all about. I love connecting with people. Again, I'm a generator. I love being in the aura of other people. Uh, you are amazing. You are stronger than you know, braver than you give yourself credit for, and definitely worthy of the things that you feel are correct for you. Bye for now.